Chris Broussard is joining us now. Chris, does it feel like the Clippers took control of the series?
I think I'm going to surprise you guys with my answer because every time you think you've got a read on the Clippers, you don't. So I'm going to say no. And I came on here yesterday and I said you can argue that they have outplayed the Jazz in this series, even though they were down 2-1. Obviously, that's more true today. The Clippers have definitely outplayed Utah in these 4 games. They lost 2 close games in Utah and won 2 blowouts in LA at their home place. However, I don't think that they're in control. I think they have the best roster. I think they have the best duo that's really left standing in all of the playoffs in Kawhi Leonard and Paul George. But if I'm Utah, I'm not discouraged. I think it's really a 50-50 series. I stand by my prediction of the Clippers in 7, but I think this thing is 50-50 because Utah still has home court advantage, and Utah has been the best home team in the regular season this entire year. They're 31-5 at home in the regular season, and on the road, they had the same road record as the Indiana Pacers, who didn't even make the playoffs in the East. So they're a very different team in Utah than they are anywhere else. Add to that the possibility of Mike Conley coming back. Clearly, they miss him. Then we all saw, I hope it's nothing. Everybody is saying that it's nothing, but we saw Kawhi Leonard kind of aggravate his knee yesterday. Hopefully, that's not an issue, but you got to maybe look at that. Paul George has clearly unlocked himself, and he's playing great, but can you count on him to do that every night? And then here's the other thing, Marcus Morris. Marcus Morris, you can argue to some degree that even though he's clearly not their best player, that the Clippers have gone as he's gone to some degree in these playoffs. Well, he is great at home, 50% as a three-point shooter in Staples Center during the postseason. On the road, 20% as a three-point shooter away from Staples Center. He's 1 for 14 from behind the arc in this series against Utah on the road. So, I got the Clippers winning it in 7, but I don't think they can relax and feel like we've got control of this series.
I agree with you, Chris. All the Clippers did was hold serve at home. Utah held serve at home. Clippers needed to hold serve at home. They did. But the Clippers, for them to win this series, what are they going to have to do? They're going to have to win a road game. There's no other way around it because the luxury that they had versus Dallas is that they had home court. Well, they don't possess that in this series. And I do not believe that the Jazz will play as sloppy in the first at home as they did the first 2 games. Chris, you know you can't turn the ball over 6 times. Can't go 1 for 7. While the team that you're playing against, they have 1 turnover. They make 6 of their first 12.
This is all in the first quarter.
In the first quarter. Mm-hmm. So the game was really, because if you look at it after the first quarter, Utah averaged scoring 30 points a quarter. But that's not good enough because you're behind, so you're playing catch-up. Well, when you're turning the ball over and the team is knocking down threes and they go to the free throw line 7 times and make 6 of them, well, you're in a world of hurt. So you're going to have to do a better job of taking care of the basketball, better job of playing defense without fouling. You can't put Kawhi and PG on the foul line as much as they've done in these past 2 games. That's a big thing. And they're gonna have to get more from Jordan Clarkson. And you look at Bogdanovich's and you look at Ingles' numbers. But Chris, you know this: if I'm down 24 and I make a 3, I'm still down 21. 21. Well, guess what? The Clippers come right back down and hit another 3 in your face because you're not playing defense. And they're getting to the rim. Kawhi and Paul George are living in the paint. They're gonna have to clean that up. I'm not worried. I feel good. Skip and I got another case and a half, 2 cases to do. Donovan's going to go for 40, and they're going to go back to Staples. I think they play again on Friday, up 3-2.
And I say you are whistling through your own graveyard. I beg to differ with both of you. You are still underestimating the Clippers. You are still trying to see the Clippers as last year's Clippers or historical Clippers, that Clippers routinely fail when you least expect them to fail.
Clippers gonna clip. Clippers don't clip. That's what they do.
How about last week's Clippers? Skip, how about last week's Clippers? We thought we knew where they were at Dallas, and we didn't.
Okay, let us count the ways of last week. Game 1, they led by 13.5, and they should have closed the deal, but they did not. But they still wound up with the last-second shot to tie that game. Game 2 at Utah, when that place was an insane asylum, and Utah was making three-point shots out of its mind from the top of the Wasatch Mountains. And what happened? From mid-third quarter to mid-fourth quarter, the Clippers went on a 46-23 run in that insane asylum and took the lead by 2 on a Reggie Jackson 3, and then they did fall apart. But they showed you they flexed their firepower. They came home game 4 and dominated. Last night, they dominated the first quarter and showed you they're just clearly the better team. They're different than last year's team because things are changing. Paul George, as Ramona Shelburne wrote on ESPN.com yesterday, is becoming the point guard. He's becoming the offensive leader in that he's the one who attacks the paint. He's the one who sets up Kawhi. He's the one who ran the show last night and drove them home. He closed that game when it was getting a little bit dicey because there's no team in the league I would fear more down 30-13 after a quarter than Utah. Because, listen, Utah can just flat out rain threes on you. They led the league in three-point makes, obviously, and in three-point takes. So with Donovan and Jordan Clarkson, they're the most explosive, dynamic duo as scorers that you can find anywhere. But the Clippers have been doing a very good job on them. And I love what Patrick Beverley is doing for this team because he's bringing back that nasty attitude. He bothered Donovan Mitchell last night. He got up into him. He annoyed him. He irritated. He got under his skin. And I just got to see it one more time. Could we please see what Patrick Beverley did to Donovan Mitchell at the end of the half? Into half. This is like a message sent play where he's right with him. He's right with him. He takes the ball out of his hands on the first shot. Then he comes from behind and clean blocked him at the buzzer. That he got 2 blocks. Patrick Beverley had 4 blocks last night. So to me, the defensive edge that they attacked with in the first quarter will carry over into Game 6. I would like their chances in a Game 6 more than a Game 7. So I like their chances more tomorrow night. But now we come down to what Chris brought up. I don't know about Kawhi Leonard's knee. I've had a long, painful history with Kawhi Leonard because he listens to his body, to me, to a fault. He listened to it in San Antonio to the point that he quit on my Spurs.
He didn't quit. He had a thigh bruise, deep one.
Yeah, thigh bruise. That's all he had. He had a thigh bruise. Tony Parker tore his quadriceps muscle and said his injury was 100 times worse than Kawhi's. I forgive, but I do not forget what he did. He quit his way out of San Antonio. God bless him, he won a championship in Toronto, and I believe he's going to win another one this time with Paul George and the Clippers. I think it's set up. It's right on schedule, but he's got to suck it up and tough it out in Game 5. And he pulled himself out of the game last night with 4.5 minutes, 4:35 left. He's like, nope, I can't go. Well, that scares me because he might say it's a little sore. I better wait until Game 6. And if he does that, I got problems.
Yeah. I don't know what it was. It just looked like he hyperextended a little bit, Chris. I don't like it, and I'm with Skip. I mean, we don't know the severity of it. We'll see how he feels when he wakes up in the morning. I'm sure he'll get treatment around the clock. And I don't see a scenario, if anything isn't torn, I don't see a scenario in which Kawhi doesn't play. He has to play. They got no chance. They cannot win a game. They can't even be close in this ball game without Kawhi.
Remember, he invented load management. You
can't load manage in the playoffs. Well, you only got 7 games.
You don't tell this guy what to do and not to do.
Chris, you only got 3 games now. Ain't no more load managing.
Best of 3?
No, I hear you. Skip makes a good point. I mean, again, everybody, Ty Lue, Kawhi, after the game, they said he's fine. Kawhi didn't want to talk about it. But if it were a situation where it's bothering him a little bit, I could see him being like, look, let me get right for Game 6.
Yep.
If we still got a little cushion, let me get right for Game 6. I got to throw this out, too, guys. Ty Lue, he deserves some credit for what he's really in this entire postseason.
Yep.
Yeah, he is coach. Look, with all due respect to Doc Rivers, Ty is making the adjustments that Doc didn't make last season in the playoffs, whether it's changing the starting lineup. changing the rotation.
Yep.
Obviously, they went to zone defense at times against Utah. And he's not afraid to bench some of the strongest personalities on the team. It was Pat Beverly last series.
Yep.
And this series is Rajon Rondo. And
Rondo didn't even dress, Chris.
All he did in Cleveland, right, so all he did with the championship in Cleveland, obviously he gets credit for that. But I'm more impressed with what I see now from Ty Lue than what I even saw in Cleveland, because he had LeBron, obviously, to do a lot of it on the court. So he's really done a tremendous job coaching this team.
So, Chris, from what you know
even
about
the Paul George thing, Skip, that you mentioned.
Go ahead.
Putting, I know Chauncey's got a lot to do with that, Chauncey Billups.
Yep.
But Paul George at point.
Yep. So from what you know about the guy who I thought was going to be the missing ingredient at point guard, the new quarterback, playoff Rondo, would you believe that Rondo is making so many internal waves that Ty just finally said, well, why don't you watch from your couch, because he didn't dress last night?
Was he even on the bench?
That's a really good question.
Was he even on the bench, Chris?
Obviously,
I don't know.
I didn't see him either, so I'm not sure. But he's a strong personality.
Yep.
Remember in Dallas, he butted heads with Rick Carlisle.
They sent him home and said, "Nah, we good."
Yeah, they did.
Yeah. So it's possible. I don't know the answer to that, Skip, but it's certainly possible.
Okay. So final point that you made that I've made many times on this show. In the end, the Clippers do go as Marcus Morris goes. And I remind you, as poorly as he shot the three on the road, remember that huge game 3 in Dallas, the turning point game when they got down 30-11. In the fourth quarter, he made 3 threes from that, watch on TV, that far corner to the right. He just drained them 3 in a row that basically cemented the game for them. So he'll make them on the road occasionally.
It's easy. I think Ty Lue has an easy job because they say, hell, he coached LeBron. LeBron listened.
LeBron coached LeBron.
No, he didn't. Ty Lue, he was trying to draw up a play, and LeBron was there. He and Kyrie said, hey, y'all shut the bleep up and let me coach the team. Y'all just play.
Did he say that?
Yeah.
Who told you that?
Go pull the tape.
Really?
Yeah, you can pull the tape. Ty Lue is his own man. That's one thing about Ty. Ty is Ty.
Thank you for watching. You can subscribe here to get the latest from the show, and be sure to check out more of the best clips from Undisputed, or go watch a few other segments from our other shows on FS1.